So it's 1991 in Tampa, Florida, and everybody is watching the Super Bowl as the high-powered Bills with the K-gun offense is innovating, scoring like crazy, is behind the New York Giants, who are starting a backup quarterback and getting ran over by an old running back. And it all comes down to the Bills kicker, Scott Norwood, as he lines up for a 47-yard field goal and misses in a moment so iconic. The words "wide right" are known for this one kick and will follow Scott Norwood around for the rest of his life as he misses and the Giants win the Super Bowl. Join us today as we find out what happened in this game and how Scott Norwood took a lot of the blame that he shouldn't have. Today on Daily Sports History. Welcome to Daily Sports History. I'm Ethan Reese, your guide, because if I could get one close to the field goal, I would be happy. So, love you, Scott. So, let's go back to 1990. The Buffalo Bills are starting a new era. They were good back in the day with, unfortunately, O.J. Simpson, but they had struggled for years. They won a couple championships in the AFL, but since they joined the NFL, they haven't really won much. But that thing started to change when they hired Marv Levy as their new head coach, and they brought in some new talent. They were able to bring in Jim Kelly, who was a star in the USFL, and that really changed their trajectory. They brought him in, and they brought in Thurman Thomas, who was a great running back but fell in the draft due to a knee injury, and they found a great receiver in Andre Reed out of Kutztown State. The only real dominant player they were able to get in the draft was a number one pick in Bruce Smith, who would go on to be one of the greatest sackers of all time. So they put this team together in the late 80s, and they did something unusual. They developed a new offense that is kind of common that we see today, but back then it changed a lot. It was called the K-gun offense. They called it K-gun because Kelly, his name was Jim Kelly, and they were in the shotgun all the time. It was a no-huddle, hurry-up attack, where Jim Kelly would call most of the plays right from the line of scrimmage. And this kept the defense tired and allowed them to get the upper hand as they weren't able to get set very much. We've seen this all the time across the league ever since because this was so successful. They were leading the league in scoring and yards, and they just were dominant. Just to give you an idea how dominant they were, in the AFC Championship game facing off against the Oakland Raiders, they put up 41 points in the first half, and they ended up winning 51-3. They had such a good year this year, they were excited to get to the Super Bowl. And they may have been overly cocky because on the other side, the Giants, they were a pretty good team. But Phil Simms, their starting quarterback, got injured, and so they were starting Hostetler. And if you're going into a game against a backup quarterback, are you going to feel more confident? Obviously you are. They had a pretty good defense. Their offense was coming like crazy, and so they were confident going into this game. And they were led on their defense by Lawrence Taylor. So their defense was a huge point. And just some backdrop on this game, it was actually a really big moment. The United States had just gone into the first Gulf War 10 days before this. So a lot of people were feeling anxiety about this and just a lot of patriotism. So watching the Super Bowl became a very patriotic thing. The flyby was a huge moment. And hearing Whitney Houston sing the national anthem was an iconic moment that still is hard to live up to this day. In this game, everyone thought the Bills were going to win. Everyone was excited to see them go off offensively. The best offense against a backup quarterback. But what's going to happen? But the problem was they didn't expect the assistant coach, the defensive coordinator for Bill Parcells, the head coach of the Giants, to change things up so much that it would change the game. That defensive coordinator was Bill Belichick. And he readjusted their whole defense to not try to keep up with them, but to allow Thurman Thomas to run on them as much as possible, because if the ball was out of Jim Kelly's hand, at least they had a chance. So he had 2 down linemen, 4 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs, basically the entire game, daring them to run the ball as much as possible. And vice versa, Bill Parcells was running the offense. He was going to slow the game down, run the ball, try to hold the ball as much as possible to keep the ball away from the Bills. And this strategy worked. See, the Bills come out and they receive the first kickoff and they go 3 and out with this light box. And they're not able to really get any offense the first quarter. And the Giants actually score first on a field goal after a 12-play, 61-yard drive. And in the second quarter, they're able just to drive just a little bit, enough to get Scott Norwood a 29-yard field goal to tie the game at 3. But then the second quarter comes out and it looks promising. See, the Bills were able to have a great punt and pin the Giants back, and they got a holding call in the end zone, which meant they got a sack, giving them a safety. So they go up 5-3. But the Bills go on a 12-play, 80-yard drive where Jim Kelly connected on 6 consecutive passes for 60 yards, and Don Smith kept off the drive with a 1-yard touchdown run, giving the Buffaloes the lead 10-2. So the Buffalo is winning 12-3 after this safety, looking like, okay, they're starting to take over. But Jeff Hostetler is not going to let that happen. They march their way down 10 plays, 87 yards, and Otis Anderson is going crazy, running the ball all over them, including an 18-yard run during this drive, ending in a 14-yard touchdown pass to Stephen Baker with 25 seconds left in the half, cutting the lead 12-10. They come out in the second half and the Giants get the ball and they resume their original game plan. They run 14 plays for 75 yards with Otis Anderson running a 1-yard touchdown run, giving them the lead 17-12. The drive consumed a total of 9 minutes and 30 seconds, putting their plan of keeping the ball away from the Bills into place, as the Bills are not able to score in the third. In the fourth quarter, it takes the Bills just 4 plays, 63 yards to score a touchdown from Thurman Thomas to take back the lead 19-17. However, there's still time left on the clock, and the Giants went again on a 14-play, 74 yards, where they were able to get a field goal to take the lead 20-19. With 2 minutes and 16 seconds left, the Bills have the ball back. It's the final possession. They have time, and they are working their way down the field, but they are only able to get to the 29-yard line with 8 seconds remaining, giving them a chance for a 47-yard field goal. Just give you an idea, 47 yards back then was not a chip shot like it is today. Kickers today are different, and it is a different game. And he outwalks their kicker, Scott Norwood. Now, Scott was an undrafted. He bounced around from team to team before he was able to settle in Buffalo, and he was very reliable inside the 40-yard line, and if it was on artificial turf, which this game was not played on artificial turf. It was played on grass. So, for one, it was above his range. He wasn't very good past 40. And it was on grass where he's not completely used to. But he's a kicker, and it's the same motion. He just goes out there and does it. They feel confident, but Scott says it's about 50-50 if he could make it from that distance. And he goes out there for the kick after being iced by Bill Parcells, of course, and the snap happens. The hold is good. There's no mistakes. No one gets through the line. The kick itself looks pretty good, but it keeps shifting a little bit right, a little bit right, a little bit right. And it goes 14 inches to the right, missing the field goal, giving the Giants the win. As announcers say, he missed it wide right, giving this kick a name, wide right. Scott Norwood would always be known for missing this kick wide right. This was awful. They lost. They felt awful. The Giants felt great. It was good for them. But Scott would go on to feel depression, get hate from people in the town. But eventually that would subside. Because the next year, they had a chance again. And the next year, the Bills went to 3 more Super Bowls in a row and lost them all. And that's what makes this one such a devastating miss. Because he missed this kick, they didn't ever get that Super Bowl. Because they failed again and again and again. But that's not on him. If you talk to Jim Kelly, Andre Reed, Thurman Thomas, they all take blame for the kick, not Scott. Because they say they could have done more on that drive to get hit closer or to score a touchdown. They could have done more. They set him up for a tough kick, and he did his best. I think we have to remember that. Kicking is a tough job. Everyone loves you when you make it. Everyone hates you when you miss. And it's a 50-50 shot every time. I want to thank you for listening to today's Daily Sports History. If you like this, please make sure you leave us a like and subscribe wherever you're at. That helps other people know that this is a great show and they can listen too. And we'll see you on the next one.